this is a major problem. So we discussed about client dissatisfaction, and now we are talking about concrete wastage. Our first point was what? Our first point was about throughput, not output. So that also we will see into detail how we improve the throughput of our concrete. Now we are talking about concrete wastage, and we all know Vaibhav is asking, is revibration allowed as per IS code? IS code doesn't speak on that, right? But you can refer to our concrete godfather of India, Professor M. S. Shetty, and he has a fantastic chapter on the revibration and how it has to be done. And he, at least he has spent 10 pages on the revibration. So Vaibhav, please go through that. And this is something which you can give as a proof or as a supporting document to your client. So IS code is not saying yes, not saying no. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead. I am still at point number 3 only. We are talking about concrete wastage. So many batching plants, they see that concrete is rejected at one place. Concrete is rejected at one place for whatever reason, slump, and then they divert the transit mixer by downgrading the concrete. So if it is M40 grade rejected, they will send it where M30 is required, M35 is required, because they can't send it back to the same site, because the client is also बहुत होशियार हो गया आजकल, and he will keep a note of the PM registration numbers, whether you are sending the same mixer back again. So downgrading the concrete is also a concrete waste. Why? Because you are losing money. 5,000 rupees per cubic meter concrete, now you are selling for 4,000 rupees per cubic meter by downgrading it. And this all impacts our bottom line. Bottom line means the profitability of your plant. So the figures get hidden, when the top management looks at that, they don't see that so much concrete was rejected, was wasted, was thrown away. It's not thrown away, but it is downgraded. So use standard deviation wisely, design your mix properly, have a longer retention, and ensure that your concrete never has to be downgraded. But of course, the main issue today is our aggregates. You will do everything, but the aggregates that you get in your plant, we know about crushed sand, how much dust is coming. River sand is completely gone, not allowed at all to dredge it and to supply it. Aggregates, okay, VSI, we all say that 2 trucks you get nice material which are cubicle shaped aggregates, and then the third truck that comes is flaky aggregates. And I have spoken about this subject before. So the shape of your aggregates, is so important. I'm talking about coarse aggregates, because if the aggregate is flaky, if the aggregate is flaky like this and not cubical like this, if it is flaky like this, for the same weight of aggregates, you have far more surface area, which has to be painted by the paint. Which is the paint? Our cement paste. So 25% higher requirement of cement paste if the aggregates are not cubical and if they are flaky. So you ask your purchase department when they are placing order, looking at the rate, looking at the quotation of the aggregate supplier, are they going to supply you 25% cement free of cost to take care of these flaky aggregates? And if that is not the case, then you should resist accepting a flaky aggregate, because what you are doing is you are playing with the quality of the concrete, you are playing with the pumping of the concrete. Once the pipeline is choked, you will have to remove the concrete, throw it away, and nobody calculates that loss. At the end of the pour, the client says, I have not received so much concrete. There is a difference of 5 to 10%, and we start fighting with our client. We should fight with our procurement department and tell them that don't supply me flaky aggregates, supply me cubical aggregates. Otherwise, don't blame me if I use 25% more cement. And this is plain simple mathematical calculation. Anybody can do it to demonstrate that. So we all civil engineers, our job is to paint each surface of the aggregate nicely with cement paste in our concrete mix. Once you paint it nicely with our cement paste, the lubrication effect improves. The concrete pumps nicely. We are able to vibrate it, and there are no shrinkage cracks. So even from that perspective, your customer is satisfied, right? So that is pass on the pain point, which you have to remember. And what can I say about the dust? So IS code says 20% allowed below 150 micron. I would say don't accept any crushed sand if 150 micron passing is more than 15%. Don't accept it. And your lab supervisor who is present in the lab at that time, uska responsibility hai. And you record, how many trucks you will get. I know how it happens. The dumper comes, you take a sample, the sample passes, but when you unload the truck, oh my god, there is so much dust in it. So have a clause with your aggregate supplier, and from your laboratory, from the QC department, straight away apply him a debit note. Straight. Have you ever sent a debit note? No. Send a written debit note. Debit rupees 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. Send one debit note to your accounts department, and then you will see how this aggregate supplier will come right in the line. And you tell him that because these aggregates have so much dust, I have to use so much extra cement, and this cement cost I am debiting to the aggregate supplier. Because when I took the sample, he had very nice material on the top, but when I unloaded the dumper, where will I send that now? It is already unloaded into the bins of my batching plant, and from that bin I cannot remove it. My pour is going on, the concreting is happening right now. So issue him a debit note, send him a letter, and once that letter goes, simple page, debit note to supplier name, debit rupees 10,000 for this dumper number, truck number, because there was dust content more than permissible. And once that letter of your signature goes, it will go right up to the top management. They will all start coming and requesting you, please don't issue it. So you be very clear on the stand, on your stand. When the concrete rejects, it is the concrete engineer who gets all the blame, and the people who are supplying the aggregates to you, your purchasing department, your store department, they all simply sit on their chairs laughing at you, right? So be very clear on it. Start issuing debit notes. Okay. So I am saying more fly ash, please. You all know I am a big fan of fly ash, because I think fly ash solves number of your problems. All you guys, what you do, you will go to client, you say 25%. He will say, no, I don't want so much fly ash content. You tell him, I'm going to give you a concrete with so much OPC content. Is it more than minimum required cementitious? Fine. Okay. I'm going to give you so much cement and so much fly ash. Any fly ash I add more than the mixed design is my pumping aid. Nowhere IS code says so. You remain below 35%. But this is a trick you use. This will ensure that your pumpability will be beautiful. Your retention of slump would be fantastic. Grace of God, something wrong happens with your strengths, that additional fly ash will give you additional factor of safety inside your concrete. You can keep some cubes if 28-day results you are not getting. This additional dose of fly ash will help you cross the bridge, and the heat of hydration would be low. The water evaporation from the transit mixers would be low. The shrinkage cracking would be low. The customer satisfaction would be high. So there is this tricky way you have to play when you get your mixed design approved. We are doing everything within the scope of the IS code, but some clients, when you say 30% fly ash content, they start thinking that you want to save cost. No, you don't want to save cost. You want to produce a durable, pumpable, workable, high strength concrete. But who will break head in front of every client about the 30% fly ash content? Ensure that your total cementitious 30% is fly ash content. If required, you can keep that 5% as a pumping aid and get the mixed design approved with OPC 25% fly ash. If you face any problems, write me an email about any specific case, and let's see what we can do. Okay, I'm going very slowly. I don't know how we'll finish this session. So I remember one incident which was absolutely a nightmare for me. So we were doing this concrete where the temperature required was less than 30 degrees centigrade. Very prestigious project. It got award as one of the most prestigious concrete structures of India many years ago, 20 years ago, 2001. Now 30 degree temperature in Mumbai heat We were struggling even in the evening. It was month of May. What can you do? You can't do concrete only in the winter. We're trying to do it in the night time, but we're failing to keep the temperature below 30. The temperature was 30.5. The transit mixer was rejected. It was our dedicated batching plant for our own project, where I'm going to send that concrete except throwing it away. It was horrible with so much foreign supervision on the job. Finally, we added ice. So ice again tested for chlorides, this, that, because a lot of salt is used when ice is manufactured. So we went to New Bombay. There's a nice company called Party Time Ice. They do ice for all these wonderful purposes, very hygienic ice, which we used ice cubes in our water. Still, we were not getting temperature 30. Finally, we created concrete only with ice. So 143 liters of water was required. Very less water to cement ratio. We added 143 liters of ice cubes. Imagine, into the mixer, not a drop of water. And then by the time it used to reach to Worli from BKC in Mumbai, evening time, night time, it used to take 1 hour, 1.5 hours. And then finally we used to get the right temperature. So we have done all that, and it is always a nightmare for all the concrete engineers. But that is how we need to eliminate our waste of concrete. Number one culprit for wastage of your concrete is your procurement department. Start issuing debit notes. The next pain point is staff performance, which means all of us, right? And all of us, you need to ensure as a concrete engineer how you can uplift the performance of all your staff. So this means your transit mixer drivers, most of the times what happen, our transit mixers, you have given contract to somebody who is running the TMs for you. All the staff keeps on changing driver, so you all know how difficult it is to deal with drivers. But you have to train these drivers. They should never ever touch the water tap of the TM. They should always carry the cans of plasticizers. And your QC technician, he's the number 2 whom you have to train, the site technician, which you are going to send, because he has to do so many things to ensure customer satisfaction. So starts from TM drivers. Number 2 is your site technicians, which are there. Number 3 is the demolding of these cubes. Now we are all talking about GGBFS and fly ash and everything in concrete. Winter season, the cubes don't set immediately. So maybe you have to think and keep 36 hours for demolding of your cubes. Friends, the next one in my firing line is our maintenance team, who will maintain your plant, who have responsibility that the plant doesn't break down when you need it most. We'll speak about it later. Okay. So this all comes to a point. My friend Mr. Durgesh, he explained to me, he also runs a massive ready mix company. He said that he runs his batching plant like a hospital. What do you mean by hospital? In hospital there can be emergency anytime. You have to keep it on 24 hours. You need expert staff, expert nurses, doctor on duty. So the whole RMC setup, you will have to treat that I'm running a hospital. I should be ready 24 hours a day. So you will ensure that there is proper relieving time. Each person doesn't work more than 10 hours. We are not able to keep the staff for long period. सब लोग पक जाते हैं आरएमसी प्लांट में काम करके, क्योंकि साइट के ऊपर जाने का टाइम है, but return आने का there is no time. So sometimes the duty hours are as long as 24 hours. So if you calculate all this, and if you have relieving times properly, like nurses are relieved, there is emergency in every hospital, but right at the required time, the next shift nurse comes, there is a 30-minute overlap, and the first shift nurse goes away. Change the duty time to 8 hours if required. I'm telling you, we have done all this and we have got fantastic results. When you change the duty time from 12 hours to 10 hours or 8 hours, the management starts shouting, but you will see the results long term. Nobody will leave your company. They will become all very well trained. Customer satisfaction will increase. Your money recovery would be great. Concrete wastage will be reduced, right?